So you mentioned this idea of bringing something to the surface, which is really interesting. So can you maybe elaborate the surface and what is there in the depths of things, and how does ego dissolution fits into that?
Well, Aldous Huxley talked about the brain as a reducing valve, that we have an enormous amount of information. So right now there's an air conditioning sound in the background,
Mm-hmm.
but that's not crucial to what you and I are doing, talking
Mm-hmm.
to each other. So we kind of tune that out. There's all sorts of sights and sounds. There's incoming information in all the different sense modalities. And we have to figure out what's important to us. And so the mind, in a way, focuses a lot on what are our core needs, and we filter all the incoming information that we get towards focusing on what our core needs. And we can even get to Abraham Maslow and the hierarchy of needs about survival needs, belonging needs, esteem needs. You go on. So I think what I mean by bringing things to the surface is that we tend to not focus on a lot of things that are coming, but we also push away things that are difficult emotionally, difficult cognitively. We all know that we're on this very short trajectory from birth to death, but we're not constantly thinking about dying. Although that can actually be helpful to focus us on what's really important. Traumas are often suppressed.
Mm-hmm.
Conflicts. We see in America and around the world a kind of rise of irrationality, where people push away their logic in order for their emotional, tribal needs to be met. A lot of people are suffering from early childhood traumas of a different kinds, or abandonment issues, or anything. So we tend to focus on just what we need to survive and what we need for work and esteem. And so psychedelics, by dissolving this ego control, or by, with MDMA, kind of strengthening our sense of self and our sense of self-acceptance, we can bring in other information that have previously been too complicated or too painful.
You don't think of psychedelics as conjuring up something new. It is more revealing something that is already there.
I think that's a very crucial thing. So, yes, Sasha Shulgin, who sort of the godfather of MDMA, he sort of rediscovered it and brought it back into use. He talked about his first experience was with mescaline. His first psychedelic experience was with mescaline. And he had a tremendous experience. But what he said about it was he was having a human experience that the mescaline was helping him access, rather than that he was having a mescaline experience. So that it's not like you pop a pill and you always have the same kind of experience as everybody else. The experience is not contained in the pill. The pill opens you up and you have an experience of yourself. Sometimes these are experiences that we've never consciously had. But we can say right now that we know that our body, below the level of our conscious awareness, has all these self-healing mechanisms. And we don't modulate them to a large extent by conscious control. I mean, eventually we are learning more about the mind-body, and we learn about the placebo effect, how what we think is the case. But I think that there's experiences that are below our level of conscious awareness, particularly once we're adults, that are more these unitive mystical experiences, sense of connection. I think kids are like this a lot. We kind of come from the void, you could say, and you're born and you have a different way of processing information. One interesting point about that has to do with ketamine, which is been approved as ketamine for depression, but it's used for anesthesia, and roughly 1/10 the anesthetic dose is a psychedelic dose. And when it's used in anesthesia, there's what's called the emergent phenomena. So this is, you get enough ketamine for, you can be operated on, you're not in pain, you're not really there, your ego's knocked out, but you can still breathe. But as the operations get over and then people metabolize the ketamine, there's a process that they call the emergent phenomena. It's like as you're emerging from this tranquilized state, and that's where you pass through the psychedelic phase. And they don't prepare people for that. And what we see is that a lot of adults have difficult times with that. But children don't seem to have those problems. Children are a little bit more already in this kind of state. And so ketamine is used quite frequently in children now for anesthesia. So all of that is to say, to your question, that I think these psychedelics reveal things that are within us, some things that are how we process information back when we were children, other things that we've never thought of before that are sort of baked into our consciousness. There's one drug, 5-MeO-DMT. It's this toxin from a Sonoran toad that many people consider it to be the most powerful of all the psychedelics. And it kind of knocks the ego structures completely out of it. And we experience something different, but it's something I think that's always within us. It's at a deeper layer. So we knock out some of the higher cognitive functions, and then we experience things in a different way. So my sense is that these are human experiences that the psychedelics bring us to.